Welcome to John the Wireless Guy, an exciting day for sure. The Apple conference has just wrapped up, and while we're not going to dive in and give you an hour and 18 minutes worth, because you could have just watched it, this is going to be a snapshot, the Cliff Notes version, if you will. We're going to go through each area that they talked about, talk about the features and some of the specs and some of the new things coming. Mainly that, like I said, that Cliff Notes version for you. So Tim Cook comes out and he talks about Apple TV Plus, a lot of new shows coming there. I know they were doing something initially where you got a year free when you got a new Apple product, so some of you may have taken advantage of that. There's a lot of good shows on there and they're coming out with some more, so stay tuned for those shows. The iPad, so this is the iPad 10.2. It is their entry level, so it still has the home button. It does now come standard with 64 gigs of internal storage, which is great. It has the A13 Bionic chip, 20% faster performance, 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, true tone display, which basically more comfortable viewing on the eyes, supports Apple Pencil first generation, and has iPad OS 15. That's what it'll ship with. Many of you now that have Apple devices, you'll also be able to upgrade to iOS 15 probably in the next week or 2 weeks or so whenever they bring it out. This iPad starts at $399 for the 64 gig of internal storage. So great option there. Students, teachers, someone looking for a low-cost entry-level iPad, this is a great option for sure. So we roll into the iPad mini. 8.3 inches, starts at $499. Now they really packed a lot into this iPad mini. Color-wise, you'll have purple, pink, starlight, and space gray, liquid retina display, true tone display, touch ID via the power button, much like the iPad Air. You now have a USB-C port for your iPad mini. 5G connectivity now comes to the iPad mini. 12 megapixel rear camera with true tone flash. You also have a front 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. Supports the second gen Apple Pencil. Starts at $499 like I mentioned, and you can record in 4K. Now they basically improved the CPU. They mentioned with a lot of airline pilots like the iPad mini, because it's not too big and bulky for navigating in their flight patterns, and with that they said this will be a lot better experience for you folks out there, so definitely looks like they put a lot into the iPad mini. The Apple Watch starts at $399. The Apple Watch Series 7, it's going to feature the Watch OS 8, 40% thinner borders than the Series 6, 70% brighter, up to 50% more text on the screen than the Series 6, and now there's going to be a keyboard option where you can touch the letters in reference to what you want to text instead of doing voice to text. So I think that's a pretty good feature, especially since they kept the same screen size, but with what they were able to do, you're actually able to get a bigger screen on it. It's like 1.2 millimeters is really that little bar on the side, if you will, that border. Crack resistant, dust resistant, IPX, WR50 water resistant, 33% faster charging than the Series 6. It does have a USB-C cable now. 8 minutes of charging, it gives you 8 hours. All the bands previous will fit on your Series 7, so that's good news for those of you that don't want to have to get a whole new band set for your new watch. That will be coming later this fall, and of course 5 new aluminum colors. So Fitness Plus, they are adding Pilates, guided meditation, snow season workouts, and group workouts now are coming to Fitness Plus. Of course, you can bundle this with other Apple programs to give you a better cost per month. And here we are, iPhone. So they divided it into iPhone 13 mini and the regular iPhone 13. Then they did the iPhone 13 Pro series, which is your Pro and Pro Max. So first we'll discuss the 13 and the 13 mini. Size-wise, not changing. Still 6.1 inches diagonal on the 13 and 5.4 diagonal on the Mini. You have a ceramic shield. You have IP68 water resistance. You now have 2 camera lenses on the 13. Colors are pink, blue, midnight, starlight, and product red. Super Retina display. It will have the A15 Bionic chip. That's huge. Now in the last 12, they did the same chip throughout, and a lot of folks weren't sure if they were going to still do that, and they did. So on the Pro and Pro Max, 13, 13 Mini, all feature the same chip, the A15, which is pretty cool that they're doing that. 12 megapixel wide camera, optical image stabilization, which previously was only on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. They now bring it to 13 and 13 Mini. Video, so they're going to have cinematic mode, which can also shoot in Dolby Vision HDR. Now, cinematic mode, what they showed was, say that you are watching a movie and you see a person in front of you and that focus is really crisp, but then that camera kind of pans to someone behind them and it blurs the initial person you were looking at and now focuses on the person behind them. That's what they call cinematic mode, and that is in the phone, which is amazing. Every year they do something. Photos and videos usually get really good, and that's, again, they did not disappoint. That's what they did again. Of course, MagSafe still there. Bigger battery, now 128 gig, 256 gig, and 512 gig. So getting rid of the 64 gig option right into the 128, which is great. The Mini for 128 gig starts at $699. The 13, $799 for the 128. So great options there. Entry level iPhone, but definitely packs a punch with some of the features that they gave to the 13 and 13 Mini. Most of those were reserved, previously to the Pro series, so that's great to see. You have your 13 Pro and Pro Max, same sizing. The Pro 6.1, the Pro Max 6.7. That comes in graphite, gold, silver, and their new color, Sierra Blue. IP68 water resistance, ceramic shield, MagSafe, A15 Bionic chip, 3 cameras still. Some were thinking it might be 4. It is still the 3. So you have your telephoto, you have your ultra wide, and you have your wide. You also have the refresh rate, which is 120 hertz, which is amazing. Then they also have something called ProMotion, which, depending on what you're looking at, could be gaming, could be movies, could be pictures, could just be on the internet. If you don't need that 120 refresh rate for what you're looking at, the ProMotion sensor in the phone will automatically reduce it as low as 10 hertz, which saves battery. So you'll have about a 1.5 hour increase in battery on the Pro, and possibly a 2.5 hour on the Pro Max. The same thing with the Mini and the regular 13 above the previous year's 12. So you do have increased battery life. They also have macro photography, which allows you to zoom in, and you have night mode on all 3 now of the lenses. Previous it was just one of those. 4K at 30 frames per second with ProRes, and you can record and edit through that as well. That's going to be coming later this year. Mentioned the bigger batteries. Here's one thing we weren't sure about, and that's the storage size. Still 128, 256, 512, and now 1 terabyte. So you have $999 for the Pro with the 128, and I believe it was $1,199. I'll have the photos to post for the 128 gig in the Pro Max. Didn't share costs on the 1 terabyte model, $1,600 maybe, who knows. They did mention, not in this, but in an article I read, being that there's a parts shortage, this one particular article said that you definitely want to pre-order, because if you don't pre-order and get on that initial list and get your name on one, so to speak, you could miss out on the phone, therefore in a back order situation. So pre-orders start this Friday, and then the phones will be out. I think they said the 24th, it's usually the following Friday, whatever date that is. So definitely great. I know a lot of folks waited. They didn't want to get the 12 because it had 5G. So a lot of them waited. They wanted to see, get all the kinks out. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces with 5G. It's not just the manufacturer. It's also your location where you live. It's your network provider. There's a lot of moving pieces there. So I personally feel that 5G is definitely better than it was a year ago. Therefore, you're going to have a much better experience. And I think a lot of folks that waited to kind of see what that was all about, it's now a good time to buy. So I think the iPhone 13 is going to be a great phone. They didn't increase prices like a lot of people said they were. It looks same price as it was last year for the 12, which is great. So I'm excited about it. Let me know what questions you have. Do you have any other things you wanted to see in the phones that maybe weren't there? Were there some things that came out that you were excited to see? Are you going to be getting the 13? Are you going to wait and kind of see what happens? Are you going to be pre-ordering it? Or do you want to wait and see maybe what happens after the first couple months? So let me know what you find and put it in the comments. Remember to subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you and make it a great day.